I'm a little last minute today. I thought all the clocks had been changed in the church, and they hadn't been. So I thought I had an hour more. So I'm going to bring this moment to you. You're all part of everything that goes on here tonight. So I will send you energy, and you can send me energy, and we're going to go into a beautiful state of connection to the all-powerful one that creates everything. And we'll see if we can make this happen. So it's call and response. I'll say a line and then you can sing it with me. I'll sing it with you because I'll do it twice. So. Open my eyes. Open my eyes to see only love. To see only love. Open my eyes. Open my eyes to see only love. To see only love. Illuminating love. Illuminating love from the ascended one. From the ascended one. Illuminating love. Illuminating love from the ascended one. From the ascended one. All I have to do is remember. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. Every breath I take is your love. All I have to do is remember. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. Every breath I take is your love. All I have to do is remember. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. Every breath I take is your love. All I have to do is remember. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. Every breath I take is your love. Breathing in your love brings peace and understanding. Breathing in your love brings peace and understanding. Open my heart. Open my heart to feel only love. To feel only love. Open my heart. open my heart to feel only love, to feel only love. Open my mind, open my mind to be only love, to be only love. Open my mind, open my mind to be only love, to be only love. Illuminating love from the ascended one. Illuminating love from the ascended one. All I have to do is remember. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. Every breath I take is your love. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. All I have to do is remember. Every breath I take is your love. Breathing in your love, breathing in your love brings peace and understanding, brings peace and understanding. Breathing in your love, breathing in your love brings peace and compassion, peace and compassion. Open my eyes, open my eyes to see only love, to see only love. Open my eyes, open my eyes to see only love, to see only love. Open my heart, open my heart to feel only love, to feel only love. Open my heart, open my heart to feel only love, to feel only love. Open my mind, open my mind to be only love, to be only love. Open my eyes, open my eyes to see only love, to see only love. Open my heart, open open my heart to feel only love, to feel only love. Open my mind, open my mind to be only love, to be only love, to be only love, to be only love.
Good evening, everyone. There's an old adage. I don't remember who the author is, but it goes like this. If a fool continues in his follies, he will also become wise. And that is based upon the idea that we are awake in our follies and we are aware of the consequences thereof. And so we make adjustments not to cycle through the same errors in our experience. My voice isn't what it usually is because the day before yesterday, when I take my dog for our walk and run in the mountains early in the morning, I have him trained not to chase deer. I mean, he used to chase deer, and sometimes he chased him for such a distance it would be a long time before, and I was really worried about him because there are mountain lions in those hills. So I trained him, and over the last few years, he would come immediately. If I saw him start to chase deer, I'd just call his name, and he'd stop and come back to me right away. But day before yesterday, he took off and didn't come back. He saw some, it actually wasn't deer, it was elk, way up high. He spotted them. And he took off and ran into the hills and the forests, and I started shouting for him. And I shouted for about 15 minutes while I trudged through the deep snow to try to find him. Of course, I'm worried. I mean, this is my friend and great companion. I don't want anything to happen to him. But I actually blew out my voice. It's coming back a little bit, but so if it sounds strange to you, now you know why. The idea that I want to share tonight has to do with being awake in the process of living. In our early years, we're not. At least most people are not. I think some people that have spiritual parents, even religious parents, that are taking them to church or synagogue or someplace where they're getting some spiritual training and insight, could be of help, in helping them, avoid a lot of the pitfalls that you get into, because a fool is not necessarily awake enough in his follies, at least at first, to escape a lot of the ongoing, continual problems that you face. I'll give you one more example, and then I'll get into the meat of the spiritual side of this. When I was about 14 or 15 years old, I traveled with 2 or 3 characters that hung around in the pool room, And we would do break-in and entry stuff, break into factories and things like that, always in search of money, never finding any really. But we would take merchandise, and one night we broke into a factory that had these sweaters, and many of them, these black V-neck sweaters, which were really nice. So we all took a sweater or two and left. But the next day, at the pool room where we all hung out, the police showed up and arrested 3 of them sitting there in their black sweaters. So there wasn't a great deal of, intelligence in the people I hung around with. I ultimately became aware of that. I had a kind of minor revelation at one point and said, these are the stupidest guys in the world. And then the revelation was, yeah, but you're still hanging with them. So anyway. But if a fool continues in his follies, he will ultimately also become wise. Which means he must ultimately, from the difficulties and the pain that he's creating in his own life, ultimately change his way of carrying on life. So now, here's a particular Bible passage that so many people who haven't awakened yet in life, they find this passage unrealistic. I'll read it to you, see if you think it's unrealistic. This is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 7 and 8. Ask, and it will be given you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened. Now, people who find that unrealistic have no awareness of God, in a sense. They have no awareness of the intelligence that is the ongoing creating experience which we call life. It's ongoing because there's a creative intelligence involved in it. And people that have no relationship to that look upon something like this and say, come on, when have your prayers ever been answered? Ask and you will receive, seek and you will find. It doesn't seem reasonable to people. But here is exactly why. Because their mind is yet unresurrected from the false definition of life. They're operating in a false definition of life, which I was for many, 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 many years, even way beyond my misbegotten youth. But here's what is missing in their understanding. And Eckhart Tolle puts it pretty clearly. This is from his book, The Power of Now, page 10, paragraph 1. The word enlightenment conjures up the idea of some superhuman accomplishment, and the ego likes to keep it that way. But it is simply your nature, state of felt oneness with being. But it is simply your natural state of felt oneness with being. That's what enlightenment is. You have to have that felt oneness with being. It is a state of connectedness with something immeasurable and indestructible, something that almost paradoxically is essentially you and yet is much greater than you. It is finding your true nature beyond name and form. The inability to feel disconnectedness gives rise to the illusion of separation from yourself and from the world around you. You then perceive yourself, consciously or unconsciously, as an isolated fragment. Fear arises, and conflict within and without becomes the norm. Okay, so he is very clearly explaining the consciousness that actually cannot grasp the ultimate truth of interconnectedness with everything. And as long as we don't have that, we live in the illusion of separation. And the illusion of separation holds the idea of one's personality, one's personal life, one's personal pleasures and treasures to be the ultimate stimulus for action. So a person who is unenlightened, their thoughts and actions are all aimed at the personal gaining of that which the person designs or decides is what will make for happiness. And that's simply it. So as long as one is in that state of consciousness, one is not awake and does not know what it means to be truly happy. If you're in a state of the illusion of separation, where your personality is dictating to you what it is you need to have in order to be happy, you need to ask yourself this question: is it possible to be happy or to be in the kingdom of God or the consciousness of God and not have peace of mind? Because it is part of our awakening, you discover that living in the illusion of separation never provides peace of mind. On a rare occasion, you have a fleeting moment or two of feeling justified or vindicated, that you have done something that has made you feel important. And that's it, but then it's gone. And then there are more difficulties, challenges, and fear-oriented ideas that keep crowding your experience. What I'm saying to you is all the religion there is. There is no other religion. All the stuff that has gone on in this world, touting the ideas of, and all these different religions and the ceremonies and the things that they do, it all comes down to attempting to make yourself feel safe and to try to feel okay with that which you believe to be God. So it's filled with people that are motivated by fear. Even many of these organizations use fear to keep you, seeking to try to be okay with God. But what I'm sharing with you tonight are the words of mastery. This is what the masters believe and share and understand and live. If you are defining life as fragmented and see yourself as a fragmented, separate human being, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations will be based upon that false definition of life. You will not have any way of entering into the joy, the sublime joy and peace of living without fear, of living in the moment, of being available in the moment and appropriate to whatever the moment requires. That will never be your life until you awaken from the false definition that you have lived in. And you have to begin to see how it is only a path that is based upon fear. If you look at your mind and your life and what you do, you'll discover that so much of what you do is based on your fear of what might happen, your guilt about what did happen, your concerns about the future always. So you have this incessant thinking going on all the time, and you cannot rescue yourself from your feelings of isolation and fear. So it requires awakening. It requires seeing that this definition of life simply does not bring happiness. It brings fleeting pleasure here and there, a fleeting victory in the world somehow. You got the better job, or you finally, got the girl you were seeking or the guy you were pursuing, and then you find out, 6 weeks later, that was one of the big ones, the mistakes. It's not the guy that you really wanted, not the gal you really thought was going to be the one to make your life work. So what it comes down to, and I say this and people still find this unrealistic, the universe is honorable. And it's up to each one of us to find our way into that divine consciousness that is our birthright and our destiny. It's up to each one of us to do that. And the process of doing that is being awake in living. Be cognizant of the things that you're thinking and doing, and realize and recognize that it doesn't make for peace. It doesn't make for good relationships or harmony. If you want to make for peace and good relationships and harmony, you have to know this, which I will share with you also from Tolle, but this is from his book, Stillness Speaks. In you, as in each human being, there is a dimension of consciousness far deeper than thought. It is the very essence of who you are. We may call it presence, awareness, the unconditioned consciousness. In the ancient teachings, it is Christ within, or your Buddha nature. Love, joy, creative expansion, and lasting inner peace cannot come into your life except through the unconditioned dimension of consciousness. I will read that again because it has a very clear point that can be helpful if we want to take it to heart. In you, as in each human being, there is a dimension of consciousness far deeper than thought. It is the very essence of who you are. We may call it presence, awareness, the unconditioned consciousness. In the ancient teachings, it is the Christ within, or your Buddha nature. Love, joy, creative expansion, and lasting inner peace cannot come into your life except through that unconditioned dimension of consciousness. So that is why we participate in spiritual practice. Because we have to somehow, see that when it's talking about the unconditioned consciousness is who you really are, as opposed to the conditioned consciousness, that is the thoughts, ideas, and beliefs that you have taken in that literally you see through. The world you see and how you see it and how you define it and how you speak of it is a definition of who you believe yourself to be. So it's talking about that conditioned awareness has been denying you the joy, happiness, and peace that is available to every human being, because at the core of every human being there is this presence, which we refer to as Christ within, or Buddha nature, or the Tao, or the Divine One. It doesn't matter what we call it. we have to appeal to it, align ourselves with it, and when we do that, our minds will begin to be purified of the conditioned illusions of life that is all based upon the pleasures and treasures of the physical world, and gaining them so that you will ultimately feel free and safe. You will never feel free and safe that way. Freedom and safety come from an awareness of your eternal beingness and your interconnectedness with everything. So what does that make a person that has that awareness? What does it make of that person? It makes of that person an instrument of divine peace. A person that is not living life from that selfish, limited perspective, but a person that is present to flow with the guidance of this living presence within. So you can imagine, it means becoming available to the still small voice of Christ. It means being attuned to that, being one who desires to be attuned to that because you want to experience the joy, the peace, the fearless love and courage of being alive moment to moment to moment without fear. That's really what you want. It's what your soul wants. It's what you've always wanted. You only thought that to get it, you had to somehow get it from the world of materialism. But you can't. You can only get it by tuning in to your divine guiding nature. So it's up to each person to do whatever practices are required to remember to do this, because at first it requires doing this on faith, because you have nothing to measure it against. The fool has continued in his folly. He believes the world is chaos, and he's struggling to try to get whatever he can from the treasures and pleasures of living in this chaos. But that is the fool, and he has no way out unless he stops one day and realizes his life is not that great and doesn't care to continue, wants to try to find another way. Then that fool is open and starts to do that yearning for that new and better way. And your guiding intelligence within will start to guide you. And then you'll start to have experiences that prove you do have more peace. You do have joy. You do have love. You do have fearless courage. You are present. You are willing to serve. Look at that. Who ever thought you could be willing to serve the moment? Not just, a few moments here or a few moments there, but you became so enamored with the joy, peace, and understanding that you now have that the limited self has been diminished. The ego-centered me-first idea of life has been diminished. And now you're flowing with the moment, unafraid for what the moment may present, because you are operating from God consciousness. And as the Apostle Paul said, it is not I who live even. It is the consciousness of God who lives through me. It is that you allow this core nature to then have its way in your mind. And you're living in service and love and truth and honor and peace. I just said, that's it. That's it. There's no place else you can go. There's no religion, there's no master in Tibet that can give you anything but what was just shared with you just now. You cannot find your way into true life unless you take to task your own consciousness and open yourself up to your true divine nature. That's it. All the cathedrals that were ever built, all the noise, all the incense that's ever been shared, all the robes and all the fancy buildings and all the strange seminars and the self-help books and all of that is not going to bring you into what you truly want. It may help you. There may be insights that you can receive and it might help you along the way. But in the end, it comes down to taking to task your own awareness, being awake in the process of living. And when you see things going awry around you and you see your relationships with others isn't the best, you have to pause and you have to ask yourself, where in all of this am I complicit to this being this way? In other words, you're not reaping what you didn't sow. You're reaping what you're sowing. You're reaping your consciousness. And if you're having broken relationships and bad feelings and anger and upsetness and you're filled with blame for who's doing this to who, and you have all of this consternation, and you don't really have true, full peace of mind, even ask yourself this. Do you go to bed at night just thinking and thinking and thinking so that you can't even sleep? Your mind has run away, and it's just contemplating, thinking over and over again what you might have done, should have done, could have done, didn't do, all of that. That goes away, by the way. That diminishes as you take to task the truth and attempt to open yourself up to living from the divine core nature, the Christ in you, the Buddha nature, the divine one in all, the one in all. That divine one is in all. As it starts to come forth in you, you're actually igniting it in people around you. The love you sought, the compassion, the forgiveness you sought, all comes about because you have opened up to allowing the Christ nature to open your mind and to live from the Christ forgiveness and peace and love, bestowing it as you live. And then all of a sudden, you can begin to notice how it comes back to you. Because everything is interconnected, everything is one with God. And so it is. I'm going to conclude this with another quote. This is also from The Power of Now, page 10. This is paragraph 3. Being is the eternal, ever-present, one life, beyond the myriad forms of life that are subject to birth and death. However, being is not only beyond, but also deep within every form as its innermost invisible and indestructible essence. This means that it is accessible to you now as your own deeper self. This is important. There's a lot of words been said tonight, but if you take this with you, this will help you. This is the Master Eckhart Tolle. I'm going to say this again. Being is not only beyond, but also deep within every form as its innermost, invisible, and indestructible essence. This means that it is accessible to you now as your own deeper self, your true nature. But don't seek to grasp it with your mind. Don't try to understand it. You can know it only when the mind is still. When you are present, when your attention is fully and intensely in the now, being can be felt, but it can never be understood mentally. To regain awareness of being and to abide in that state of feeling, realization, of feeling enlightenment and peace and joy, when you are in that state, you will know that what is being said here is true. So we're going to do that now. We're going to meditate together. It's a pretty simple thing, you know. Eckhart Tolle has taken the whole spiritual journey and made it fairly simple. Get present with the moment. Help your mind accept and flow with the moment as it is. No resistance within. And to do that, we just listen to this crystal bowl and allow the beautiful music that it gives off to allow us to flow right here in the moment, accepting it as it is. And then beyond that, we'll go into a period of silence. If you don't have a particular meditation technique, you can use this idea. There is only one everything. Only one. In you, in me, in everything we see, there is only one. Only one. Only God. Only God. Only God. In the awareness that all beings, all souls are in communication, are interconnected with that refined intelligence and love we acknowledge to be God. Let us take a few moments to pray for those whose names have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, you can just allow the feeling from your heart to go forth with the words, be whole, be whole, be whole.
Michael Spann, Larry Hickey, Phyllis Naranjo, Teresa Rodriguez, Gabriel Riding and family, Kai V, Kit Kennedy, Ruth Pearson, Sally Amundsen, Nick Gardner, Morgan and Legia in Brighton, Theodore Earhart, Steve Taylor, Cozy, Joe and Grace Gutman, Charlene Posnikoff, Lloyd Posnikoff, Daniel Rivard, Dan James, Margot Gilham, Judy, David, Melinda M., Linda Olin, Kathy Sully, Arlene Shokes, Kate B., Del Bigtree and family, the air, water, earth, all life on planet Earth, COVID patients and helpers. And you can call out a name at this time if you'd like to do so.
Feel this divine presence moving in the consciousness of everyone sharing the Boulder community with us. And spreading to everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And this divine consciousness of oneness, compassion, peace, and love, moving in the awareness of everyone sharing these United States of America with us. And this divine awareness moving in the hearts and minds of every human being on planet Earth, and bringing healing love to all the relationships of human beings and all the creatures on planet Earth, and to all the life forms on planet Earth. And so as we recognize the healing presence of the living God as the goal and destiny of everyone, we are lifted to experience the freedom and joy, the peace and the love that is God. And so we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. In unity, every separate center church is autonomous. It has to provide for itself. There is no mother church with millions and millions of dollars that it uses to support the satellite churches throughout the country and the world. There is no such thing. Unity of Boulder operates by the goodwill, love offerings of the people that attend and share in the message and the truth and the opportunities we provide here. So with that in mind, bring to mind what financial gift you'd like to make to continue this ministry in Boulder. And let's bless this financial gift with this affirmative prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Amen.
The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. I want to love you more. I want to love you more. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you.
Thank you all for joining us. Share this truth that we have here at Unity of Boulder with all your friends. Invite them to the upcoming special services that we're going to be having. We have our intriguing Friday night service, very beautiful, with some beautiful music being shared by some of the best singers in our church. And also the Palm Sunday service, which takes place on Palm Sunday at both services. And then, of course, we have the Easter service, which is going to be a little different this year only because we still have to, acknowledge the restrictions for the COVID regulation. But we're going to have a great show with some great voices, great music, great singing. So invite your friends to tune in and become part of our Unity experience.
I also want to thank Laura, who does the testing on you as you come in. She is so dedicated, and she's there on Sundays. Every service we do, she
That's
does
true.
the testing. So we really appreciate you, Laura.
Hey, Laura. Yay. Okay.
Another one I want to say thank you for is Sandy Spahn. She is the rock of this church.
Okay.
So everybody say thank you to Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy Spahn. All right. To all of you, good night. Drive carefully.